Welcome to Bridging the Gap. I'm your host, Audra Carter. Bridging the Gap aims to inspire and empower unity within our community. And if you remember on our last shows, our first show, we talked about the foundation of Bridging the Gap, why we need it, what can we do with it, how we can open up doors for understanding within our community in every way, from the community, from individuals, and to the whole system that we work within. And of course, the second show was how do we use minorities, media, and minority churches to help bridge the gap, because we are aware that although all mediums go out, not all of them penetrate every community. And we're thankful that United Way had the foresight to allow me the opportunity to share with you our methods here at Bridging the Gap. But today's show would afford us the opportunity to discuss with relief organizations. These organizations have been in our community for years. These men have worked tirelessly. And what about the volunteer efforts? How do we help them do our job better, especially after the things that have happened with Katrina and Ivan? And I thank God for my guest today. We've enjoyed each other just preparing to talk to you, our community. And we're going to first talk to Greg Strader. He's with the American Red Cross. He is the Chief Executive Officer. Greg, thank you for being with me today.
Thanks so much for the invitation, Audra.
And we also have with us Major Welch. He's the commanding officer at the Salvation Army. Thank you for being with me today.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
And I would call him our volunteer man. We have Greg Lancaster from Next Step International. Thank you so much for coming back and being with me today.
It's good to be here, Audra.
You know, we were just discussing, you know, how are we doing? You know, you always have to stop and do a report card. You know, are we doing okay? And I think Major Welch said it, he was very honest. I said, well, how are we doing? Are we doing okay? And he kind of hesitated and said, well, no. So there's no and yes. And I just kind of like you to share with us, because that's being real, you know, because that's where we begin. Why would you say that? Why would you feel that way?
Oh, well, I was just referring to the you know, being stretched thin. A lot of our resources have gone further west. And so we're kind of left to ourselves to do the work that we're needing to do here, the daily things that we do to help people, but in addition, the evacuees who need further assistance. And you know, so it's just putting an extra burden on us locally, because those resources that we might be able to draw on from throughout Florida are not here. They're busy in their own places or further west. But I've seen the volunteers come out a little more than they have in the past. I think as a result of first Ivan, of course, and then now these more recent storms, people are a little, I think they're more willing to help out.
And what do you think has caused people to be more willing to help out?
Well, having gone through it ourselves,
yeah, I think so,
with Ivan and you know, the aftermath there. And having people come into our community from other communities to help us. And I think people are grateful for that, and they want to do the same for others. Some can't travel west and be on the front lines, but we have a lot of people, you know, who have evacuated here that need help as well, and we need help helping them.
You know, I'm going to help people understand the difference or the similarity between the organizations, because it's always Salvation America, you know, people get that, who do I support? And I think you do some things together, and there's some things you do a little bit different. But share with me, Greg, if you would, how are you guys faring over there at the American Red Cross?
We've been extraordinarily busy. To this point, we've provided assistance to 32,000 families that have come into Northwest Florida and our 4 counties for assistance in some form or another. Over $30 million of assistance to date, and that figure is still climbing.
Wow. And how much of that is local, and how much of that is, let's say, to help other efforts to, like New Orleans?
All of these dollars are intended for the benefit of the evacuees from Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and now Texas with Hurricane Rita. Wow.
That is amazing. So we are affected as a community, even here, with everything that happens in other places. And you know, if ever I could do something to help people get it, it is true. Something could happen someplace else and severely affect us here at home. And what you guys do, it's like you guys had a disaster right here at home, and usually you guys are going to Africa and far away places. I mean, people talk about that, and you've actually had to love upon us in the community. And so share with me, if there is a difference, what is the difference and what is the similarity between your programs?
Certainly one of the differences in this event is that many more of our volunteers are available to support the individuals that have been impacted. In the affected states, individuals have had their own lives disrupted. They are themselves victims. The Red Cross volunteers that would traditionally be there in the field have been victims themselves. So we're pleased and consider it our privilege to support those in Northwest Florida that have sought a home away from home for their assistance in meeting their financial needs.
How would a person get in contact with the American Red Cross, and how is the organization and communication of how to utilize your services? How is that going? Is it easy? Is it hard? What should a person do if they need help?
Our lines have been extraordinarily busy. Calling 1-866-GET-INFO is the constant number. Individuals can call that number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and have access to information about what services are available in the local community at that time. Or they can certainly dial our local number, 850-432-7601. Our lines have been flooded with evacuees calling for assistance. But if they can get through, we stand ready to support them. We're providing services at East Brent Baptist Church right now. We're also providing services at the One Stop facility at Town and Country Plaza, so individuals have access to a variety of things such as disaster mental health services, information and referral about other resources, and then assistance with hotel stays if they need that assistance.
You know, that's very true. Are you a part of the One Stop?
Yes.
And I think that brilliant. I applaud you guys for doing that. I mean, makes sense. The One Stop concept. I know Sonia and them are working furiously to organize that. People should utilize that service. Say yes?
Absolutely, and I certainly applaud United Way and Escambia County government and all those others that were involved in bringing that together, and certainly our partner organizations that are in that facility, so we can refer individuals right on the spot to other agencies if they have helping programs that aren't available through the Red Cross.
And the most wonderful thing, I think they have an intake. Is that not true when you come in to the one-stop centers to help kind of figure out which place a person needs to be to get their needs met? And I think that's very smart too, because it helps the person get directly to their first need, because we found that they have many, many, many other needs.
Very true.
Major, what have you seen in terms of people in the local community? Are they still have great need? I know United Way feeds people, that gives people food and help on a daily basis. In fact, in my life as a child, you know, we always went to the Salvation Army to play ball, to read, in fact, most of my growth in New York City was because of the efforts of Salvation Army. How is it faring in the local community? Are you still able to do that?
Yeah, we're crippled a little bit by still Ivan. The contracts were finally approved to do some of the repair work on our buildings, which includes our community center, where a lot of the activities you mentioned from your childhood happen, the sports and things like that. We're still fielding teams for football this fall, playing on another field, and ours is just about ready to go. But again, that's being delayed because of the storm. The people that are supposed to construct the bleachers and the press box, they're not able to do that because they don't have any trailers to secure the supplies when they ship them to us. So everything's kind of crippled, but we're still doing the best we can with what we have, in addition to doing the extra things that we're called upon to do.
And I think it's wonderful that you guys are still trying to push through to be normal as what's reasonably possible, because what Greg said is some of the people who are helping have had highly sustained losses, and still they have to have a mental dexterity to know the distinction between my work and how I feel about what is happening to me. And I encourage you to carry on. We need an entity that says, look, we still got to play ball, we still have kids, we still got to grow them up, we still have to help them figure out how to weather the storms. As adults, I think that's our responsibility, and as an agency, you guys are a good example of that. But if I hear you guys correctly, one of the biggest needs you have is the big V word, volunteers.
Absolutely.
I want to know, why can't you pay everybody to do everything? I mean, you guys get lots of money. Anybody look at me?
We spend it to help people.
Absolutely.
And the more we have to pay people, then the less we have to spend to help people. So obviously, I know you're being facetious, but just in case anybody wasn't catching that.
Well, and I think that's a good point to make. People say that between your organizations, can I say billions? Is it millions or billions of dollars come through your organizations? And so they should have enough money to do whatever needs to be done.
The Red Cross right now is projecting that the Katrina and Rita relief operations will cost the organization $2 billion, the most ever spent in response to a natural disaster or disasters. And we've raised just over half of that. So our agency, for one, is in a position where every volunteer means a dollar that's not having to be spent on salaries. And we've had over 1,100 volunteers providing support just in our 4 counties, and they're making an incredible difference.
Awesome. And you guys do training as well. Speaking of volunteers, we'll get Greg here from Next Step. Greg, you do something very unique to share it with us, and I understand you have a clip that we'd like to look at.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes, we do. We do with the volunteer disaster recovery teams that are going out from our particular area here. We have the Adopt a Family program, and do you want to show that now? Or?
Oh yeah, okay. Let's show the clip.
Okay.
Please support Next Step, because Next Step is here and they're helping us. We need the help.
Moving the trees and debris from around the houses so you can get to them, that's one of the biggest things that we have concern. I don't even know where to start here.
Imagine if this is your child's home, and this is where your child used to play. We've got to help them out. There's something for you to do here. If you can't physically come, partner with Next Step. Help now. Join one of the volunteer teams. Be a part.
Wow. That is absolutely wonderful. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, we're looking, it's been, what, 35 days since Katrina hit, and you know, we're kind of known for when things first hit, we get really excited, we get in there, we do some sacrificing, but as time goes on, and I was just talking to some pastors over in Marietta, and Roberts, Louisiana, and some different areas of that nature. They're having these 50 leaders in the community that are feeding people over there. They're worn out. They're tired. They've been going nonstop, which you guys are familiar with, for 30 plus days, and they're in the middle of it. We still have, as a matter of fact, it's very cold in the studio right now, but it wasn't cold over there at all. And that somehow we have to keep focused on the long run, the long range recovery is going to take. And so what Next Step is, in addition to our Adopt a Family program, which I want to thank the many, many families in this area. We're 500 plus families qualified to be able to take in evacuee families. Wow. And so there's more host families right now than there are evacuees that actually want to go in them, and that's just brilliant. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing in our community. It says a lot. But now they're going to take in volunteers that are coming in from around the country. We just had some come in from New York, so it's a perfect kind of merger there. They have supplies, they have food, but they don't have energy over there, and they need people to come in and just kind of be there that they can kind of manage, and maybe for a weekend, maybe for a week. I just had a phone call. Marty White and Linda and all those guys at WXBM are working with us on regards to getting volunteers, and some volunteers called us up. They literally had sold their home, and they're going to go there with a camper, and they're just going to stay and help out for a long extended period of time. So we're able to place those with Operation Blessing, who we're working with. Wow. They're bringing some intelligence on the ground. They have contractors that are there that go with every one of our volunteer teams. So when you go over there, it's very purposeful work, to be able to get these men and women, these victims, back in their homes again. And together, Operation Blessing is adopted Slidell, Louisiana. And Slidell actually has houses. It has, although they're in shambles, there's something to fix up. There's something to get back into. And so we have teams going in there and being able to remove debris from out of the house, from out of the yards, to tarp roofs, to put plywood and felt on. At the same time, we have people that are hugging and loving and praying for the victims as they're watching this go on in their house. So there's a big range of needs that you can do. And so what we're doing, we're challenging people in our community here to kind of get together. You know, even our local churches are tired. Our local assistant organizations like Red Cross and Salvation Army, it's been a long 35 days. And so, but what we say is that we're 40 days.
400?
400, yeah.
Yes.
We say we're better together. What we're saying, we're better together. So when you hit our website, the first thing you see is better together. Then it goes to our website. And so maybe a church that was sending 100 people every week now is sending maybe 2 or 3. So we could take those 2 or 3 from another church, from 2 or 3 from another church, and we put them in buses and vans, and we take them over there for concentrated effort for that one weekend or that 1 week to work under Operation Blessing. And so we're trying to kind of focus that, and we're thinking 52 weeks down the road to be able to keep a constant flow. And if you could have been on the phone when I was talking to this one pastor there, and his church has been inundated with stuff, supplies and forklifts and everything else. And I said, we're going to send, he was just very sad because he was so burnt out. And I said, we're going to send you some volunteers. I mean, he just totally lit up. And so I would encourage everybody that's listening to it's not over. It's just begun, you know, and to hang in there. And this way, over a 12-month period, you might only have to do 1 weekend, 1 week. But if we do it together, that could be a whole year of us going every single weekend, but you only would have taken 1 of those weekends. You see what I'm saying? We can have some significant impact by us doing it together. And you can actually register to be a volunteer right now on the web at nextstepinternational.org, as a matter of fact, and get ready to go maybe this weekend.
And, you know, that's a great place as we wind down this segment. As we think about 2 of the greatest organizations, and you're doing something with volunteering that is 2000 right now, 2006. And it's all about people's minds, where they are in their space, what they're willing to give, what they can give, how far they can go. I think Major Welch said it, you know, when you're giving in the kind of business you guys in, you give, you know, 365 days a year, there's a space that you got to be rejuvenated. Right. You know, there's a message that we haven't addressed, is that, you know, there is an issue of burnt out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you got to know nonprofits that do what you do, which is why I'm happy to have you on the show, because everybody knows these 3 organizations. But for the community, these people get burnt out.
It's called compassion fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and if something needs to be done to bridge that gap, you know, maybe take a time out. There are many, many, many hotels, the Hilton Garden Inn and other hotels, who are giving special treatment to evacuees. They can also help the workers take a break, take a minute. You got to include in that, guys, some time to restore for yourselves. True. You cannot be a great CEO and chief commanding officer without time to meditate. Greg was saying, what are you doing before the show, Audra? He knew that I was meditating because my cause is to bridge a gap. My job is to serve you guys so that you can serve our community. When you're not together, when you feel broken, when you're just stressed, you can't be as clear thinking as you need to do at times when we need you to be critical and triage. I'm saying to the community, if volunteering will help these guys take a break when they go home and love their families and be rearing to go when they come back on Monday after they've given and given and given, then we should at least try to do whatever we need to do to help and support that. And not just a denomination, not just a community, but all communities together. And it's going to take a process of a dialogue that says, this is really what we're dealing with, guys. We need money, we need food. The people in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana is still going to need help, probably for years to come. If we don't slow down, and you know, it's like a runner. He can't sprint forever, but if you get him on a rhythm and he can get someone to trade off, then he gets to get that time to rest and be ready to run the race again. Our community, our great community of Pensacola has the ability to do that with partners like One Stop. And I want to end the show with that because that's a great concept. Whoever did it, all right. We just got to get better. We got to continue to talk about, okay, it's not mine or yours, it's ours. How do we bring supportive mechanisms from the local community for the sister groups, if you will, to help support if it's needing time off, if it's needing volunteers, how do we go out there and recruit? And I know both American Red Cross and Salvation, you guys have the best training programs. And with something like what Greg is doing, just a thought, to bridge the gap, to take time together and put together a team to do that. Any response in like 3 minutes? What do you think of that?
That's a good idea.
Working together is what it's all about.
Right.
None of us can do it alone. This is so huge that it takes all of the community responding to this.
With not just money.
No.
Better together.
Volunteers,
that's what we say. Just
organizations.
better together.
And there's a lot of mechanisms in place to do that as well. I mean, between our agencies, we have agreements to work together. I know the Red Cross and the Salvation Army have agreements, the United Way and the Salvation Army, and Boy Scouts. There's just so many groups, and on a national level, the Operation Blessing, Baptist Association, there's a lot of collaboration going on, a lot of working together. And in the local community, the volunteer organizations active in disaster, VOAD is what we call it. That helps out. United Way is a good coordinating group. In fact, I think they had the most to do with the One Stop Center. Is that right? Or
They
would you
had
give
a
them
lot
credit
to do
for
with
that?
it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. They in the county.
Anyway, there's been a lot going on here in that regard to coordinate efforts, to get people to work together, groups to work together, and it's all for the good. It makes things better, and so I just want to thank all the people who are doing that, as well as the volunteers who are out there. Some making sandwiches, putting the lunch bags together. Some people are helping us at the One Stop Center, and helping other agencies. It's heartening, and that helps me to get through. Helps relieve some of the stress.
That's encouraging, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very encouraging.
And with 10 seconds, what do you do to get through, Greg?
What I do to get through is work with partners like these, and certainly United Way and others. It makes a world of difference. Without them working with us and us with them, it wouldn't get done. So.
And so what I hear is sometimes we have to relax, it being our own, and we're being the only, to it being inclusive. And sometimes we have to relax who's in charge for it to be whatever the needs are and push through. And if I'm hearing correctly, community of Pensacola, you've done a great job, and we're asking you to continue and to call these communities, these organizations, and support them so that they don't get tired.
Don't be weary in well-doing.
Don't be weary in well-doing. So in closing, that's all we have right now. We thank you so much for listening to Bridging the Gap as we look to help bridge the gap in the community. And remember that we're on WRNE Radio 980 every Sunday, 5:30 to 6:30. We thank Mr. Hill over there for the concept and for supporting me. We thank WWF and those guys at the United Way for thinking that it was important to help bridge the gap in our community. We thank you, and we look forward to our next meeting with you, I guess, in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Animals.
The zoo in Gulf Breeze is going to bring in a couple of animals, and they're going to let me play, which is going to be awesome for me and maybe
Alice,
not so much for you.
think
I'm
of
going to
Snake
put a
on
boa
Alice.
constrictor right around Carmen. That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be hot.
And then, oh yeah, and then the Buzz on October 24th is going to go ghost hunting for Halloween. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to go get scared.
And Alice will dress up like Elvira.
No.
We'll get a wig. So, no, she won't. This is totally, but you know what? No, there are no advertisers here or anything, so I can't get in trouble. Yeah, she will. Come, tune in. Alice will. No, I'm just kidding.
Alice and her Elvira outfit. No.
So just
Horrible.
a summation, do everything you can.
Absolutely.
Alice will love you if you do. Remember,
I love you too.
peace is in with, or no, not in with, no. Peace is within you, and you need to do everything you can to go out and help
There it
your
is.
brothers, your American brothers. So take care and
You're
tune in
right.
next time. Go volunteer.
See you later.
Go to another place, they're going to go to Pensacola Beach because of a couple cents more on their hotel bill?
I think
Come on,
I think if
Doug.
they're going to spend hundreds of dollars, they may look at it.
Come on, Doug. No, they don't even think about that, Doug. I don't know. I don't go on vacation, so I can't talk this, and maybe you can.
Well, let me ask you. Let me just back up, though.
Okay.
What about the fact that they're even putting a tax on? Why don't we look at cutting spending before we
What
look
the
at
hell
tax?
can you cut in this place?
Well,
This
I don't
place
know
is cut to the bone now. There's nothing to cut.
Why don't we-
The basic taxes that we get in this just simply supports this place. We don't have any extras, no fat in it.
Why don't we raise the property taxes? I don't know.
More?
Yeah, they're
More than why not have the 1 cent sales tax and have a situation whereby 34% of it's paid by outsiders,
Yeah, you know
and
that-
it brings in all this money. You're talking about $378 million for the county over 10 years.
Let me back up to the part about this woman, though. I was really
Okay, get
concerned
back.
because you're talking about her. She's made a sacrifice.
Oh.
You haven't made a sacrifice. I haven't made a sacrifice. Most people in Pensacola haven't made a sacrifice. She has. In my opinion, she's got a right to camp out in the White House if she wants to.
She's got a right to camp out, Doug, but she doesn't have a right to portray herself as being, oh, a poor mother. She's a Democratic hack. She's always been. She's been involved in other Democratic operations and so forth, and they're using her. And
So what if they're using her? Her son got killed.
How about all the? How come the media doesn't interview the mothers of all the sons that got killed to still support the war?
I don't know why.
I do. You do.
Well, what, you know what? Do you think that she sent her kid over there to get killed so she could be a Mother of the Year or something?
I think she's over there to embarrass the President of the United States. and being pushed to do so by these radical organizations.
Well, let me ask you another question. How many of these people in Washington that are voting for these appropriations or voting to support the war, how many of the right are telling their kids to join the service and go over there and fight?
No, that's a question that always comes up.
Well, it's a
somebody,
good question.
No, Doug, no,
it
it isn't.
Up.
In other words, I'm a congressman now. I'm against war. Junior, you go enlist in the Army and go over there.
No, I think that it's an appropriate question. The only reason that the Republicans don't like it is because it's an honest question. If you think it's so important, then you should,
We've got congressmen who have sons over there.
From my understanding, we have maybe a handful.
Okay, all right.
Well,
but again,
how about
we're
letting the Bush girls join up in the service? They're old enough.
People, now, Doug, these people in the military are volunteers. We didn't push her. We didn't draft her son. He volunteered to go into the military and fight for his country.
Right.
And as a result, unfortunately, he lost his life.
Right.
But this doesn't give his mother the opportunity to go out here and give aid and comfort to the enemy, which is exactly what she's doing.
Yes, it does. She has a perfect right to say whatever she wants to.
Oh, yes, she does.
That's what her son is fighting for.
She does, but not to get an audience for it.
Well, of course, that's what she's looking for is an audience. And she's doing exactly what she feels is right. I don't care.
No, she's not doing what she feels is right. She's doing what she feels will serve the Democratic cause.
You're sitting there talking about Jeff Miller voting because he gets strong-armed by the Republicans, and not voting his conscience, but voting because he's spineless, so he won't vote the way he feels he should.
Not spineless at all.
Then you turn around and say this woman is a crazy person because she has certain moral feelings and
moral feelings. She wouldn't. I mean, this will ask her. You should have seen the interview with her husband, and you'd know a little bit about it.
Well, maybe he's a nutcase.
Well,
maybe he's. How do you know?
He didn't. I don't know. He didn't appear to me to be a nutcase.
I mean, if you want to talk about, I'm. If anybody, unless you or I have had a child killed in that war over there, we haven't got a right to criticize her.
Yeah, we got a right to criticize. I've got a right to criticize, and I'll criticize her, and I'll keep criticizing her.
If you've got a right to criticize her, she's got a right to criticize the president all day, every day.
Right, she does.
Well, then why are you complaining about it?
But she doesn't have a right to make a big show of it, to embarrass the president, and that's exactly what she's trying to do.
Well, so what? Maybe
so what? So what? Do
Yeah,
you think
so
that
what?
if I felt really deeply about my son being killed,
right,
then I would make my statement, and then I would go to my neighbors, so people, my closest friends, and I'd give my opposition to the war. I wouldn't run around as a national symbol to do it. Now, she'll join Jane Fonda and Joan Biden. Turn on the television when she gets back and look at that bunch of nutcases that are down there now. Well, hacks from the old Vietnamese War days. Bald now with their they're all half goofy.
Well, these are on that side is one side, and we still got the nuts that are parading in front of the abortion clinics on the other side.
That's right.
And are you calling those people nuts?
I don't agree with them, but I agree with their right. I don't see them going out here and beating, making a big issue out of it, except the fact they sit there. Okay, fine.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing.
If she would sit there, fine.
Well,
you don't see all the people congregating around the people up at the abortion clinic, do you?
Well, if the media were up there,
when's the media ever up
and
there?
These people who go up there for the last years, every day, every week, go up there who have apparently no life, who go up there. You don't think they're nutty?
I don't know whether they're nutty or not. They've got a strong belief they're against abortion. That doesn't make them nutty.
So they're against abortion, the killing of unborn fetus, and that gives them a right to sit there. Her son got killed, but she doesn't have a right to protest.
She's got a right to get down there and sit out in Crawford if she wants to, but she doesn't have the right to make a national picture of it and let herself, or not let herself be used. She's joined these radical organizations.
Well,
She's always been a radical.
Well, how do you know?
Her
You
husband,
don't know
we
her.
had an interview with her husband, and we've got data that shows it.
Well, you know, you get information from these crazies on the right who you know,
come on, Doug.
you're listening to people like Rush Limbaugh.
No, I don't listen to Rush Limbaugh, Doug.
You know,
I do not listen to Rush Limbaugh, and I don't listen to Sean Hannity.
Well, you know, these people get news, and then they tell you what the half that they want to tell you.
Well, Doug, let me go ahead and
All right.
you made your thank you. You made your
sir.
point, and let me get to Ron on the sales tax, and then I'll get to Ray on the Texas issue. Ron?
Hi, Jim. How are you tonight?
Pretty good, my friend.
Looks like they're beating you up pretty good. You don't
no,
think
they're
so?
good people. They're
Yeah,
good people who are calling it.
Okay, well, I think we both probably had more hair in the 60s.
You think so?
I think so. I know I do. Okay. Look, this sales tax thing, it is heating up here.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm surprised that you staunch Republicans that are supporting sales taxes. You know, there's only a few counties in the state of Florida that have a 7.5% sales tax.
Let me stop you right there.
And this is one of the poorest
Yeah,
counties.
you know why? You know why they don't have a sales tax?
Because they have bigger
because they've
impact
got big
fees.
corporations that pay taxes and so forth.
Impact fees.
No.
They've got good impact
They've got
fees.
big corporations and they've got big businesses that pay big taxes.
Why don't we have this if all the Republicans are in office? You got Jeff Miller, which isn't a Republican hack, but some poor mother in Texas is a Democratic hack. But why is it you've got Republicans both in the state house, the governorship, the presidency, the Congress, and we're still starving down here in little old Pensacola. And what do we want to do? We want to tax the people that are just the basic wage earners here, to pay for the millionaires out on the beach.
Oh, come on, Ron. Come on. Now, you're smarter than that. You know better than that. And what we're doing, we need this tax. That's all there is to it. We don't have a tax base here that will support building an infrastructure that we need to attract corporations and other organizations to this community. And again, you talk about the poor person paying the taxes out here.
I didn't mention poor.
Huh?
No, I said the working person.
The working person. Well, I'm a working person. Well, I used to be. I'm a drone now. But
You're part of the bureaucracy, university bureaucracy.
Who?
You are.
No, I'm not.
I thought you were a university professor.
Well, I was.
Okay.
Now I'm a drone.
Okay.
Well, I was hey, Ron, I was a drone then. I'm a bigger drone now. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's because of tenure, but you know.
Well, yeah, I can't help it. They had to feed me if you can't do, you teach. Did you ever hear that?
Okay.
Okay.
Now, wait a minute. Now, wait a second here. Are you going to have anybody on there from the Republican side or from all of these guys who have run for the candidates for office saying, well, we're going to roll taxes back, and then they get in there and they're begging everybody to keep the taxes, and then they go spend $28 million to get a facelift for the courthouse and all this sort of stuff? Are you going to have any of those Republicans on there and explain to us why we should have higher taxes instead of lower taxes?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm going, we have not higher taxes, why we should have the local option sales tax. And that is it. And one of the reasons, Ron, that the problem of it is you say, well, how come we don't have any out? We don't have any out because we've had poor leadership in this community for years, in this area for years. And we've had people, apparently, I hate to say this like yourself, and say, oh, I don't want to tax. I don't want to tax here. I don't want to tax there. And so consequently, the politicians salivate and to what you say and what they hear, and we don't get anything done.
But that's not true. The Democrats supported this 9 years ago.
Oh.
And the Democrats now are not supporting it because, wait a second, this was a different community 9 years ago. We're now on the map. We're known now. There are people are buying condos down here at millions of dollars. The cheapest new condo high-rise in the city of Pensacola is $250,000. How can anybody locally buy into that? It's about time those people pay the tax.
But these people are not going out and telling really given an idea of what Pensacola is. The only thing people know about Pensacola is hurricanes and people drowning at the beach.
No, that's not true. People are moving down here. Property values have shot up. If you live around the water, your property values have probably doubled.
Triple.
Yes, thank you very much.
Triple
Well, that's
one.
bringing taxes into the coffers of government
yes,
here
but
right as we speak, so we can cut the
not enough,
LOST,
Ron.
help the
Still
regular
not
guy
enough,
out,
Ron.
and take it out of the pocket of those rich ones.
Okay, Ron, well, I've got to, thanks for calling. I've got to take a break, but I'm going to return after Renee's Freedom Minute, so hang in there. Stay tuned. You're watching What's Right with Northwest Florida.